mental health activity, known as VENT. Vent. A vertical of Richie Knows. Community-driven mental health solutions. By gamers, for gamers. Destigmatizing mental health. It's your brain. Delete the dread from your head. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Mental health affects us all. We are Vent. No judgment. No judgment. We got ya.
My name is Jonathan Bautista.
My name is Kitty. I go by Kitty Kaboom online.
I'm Stefan Lopezanski.
Oliver Boone.
Micah Greenleaf.
Ryder Davis.
My name is Kim.
Elijah.
Amanda.
Devonta. Derek.
Cheyenne.
Alan.
Andrew Forbes.
My name is Sherry Nan.
And I have struggled with mental health.
My earliest notions of paranoia came up in high school.
My anger, my frustration.
It finally starts chipping away at you to one point where you do get kind of down. I suffer with anxiety currently, loneliness,
Isolation.
delusions,
Bullying.
Sadness. Fear.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
I've been struggling with depression my whole life.
Still didn't know how to handle it.
When you get under that, it's really hard to get out of it.
Depression is like a shadow, and some days there might be overcast, or you might not be able to see your shadow, and you think that your depression's gone, and then when the sun comes back out, your shadow's right there, and it always will be with you.
I feel like gaming is a good way to get yourself out of that.
Just talking to them and finding peers that had similar mentality and similar interests.
It's very warm and very welcoming.
That was a huge help.
I'm so happy like I have a community.
You know, I think that that's like the best form of therapy, just talking.
You talk it all out, and it really helps. It really does.
Introducing Vent, a safe, supportive space from Richie Knows. We connect gamers.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Vent. My name is Sophie, and if you can hear this, you are joining us for a slightly different kind of Overheard tonight. And we've done 2 episodes of Vent Overheards so far in our test, and by design, I think they followed a pretty cool format. Shout out to the Vent team for making that happen. The gist of it has been that we struck out to find random gamers, sit them down, and basically just ask them to talk. And after only a few minutes, we found people opening up about friendships, relationships, work stress, past trauma, really anything and everything. And that was kind of the point for us. Overheards are meant to be almost like a weekly social experiment where you get to listen in on people talking about their issues. And whether it's the exact same thing you're going through or something totally different, I think we realize that when it gets broken down to the things we all think and feel, we realize that we can all relate to something in someone else's story. Now this week, rather than a 2-person conversation right off the bat, we're going to play for you a few minutes of my conversation, actually, with a guy named Drew Martinez. We did an interview with him a while back. Him and I talked for, I think, 45 minutes. The video we're going to play for you is just about 2 or 3. But in it, he opens up about a tough time in his life, going through a divorce, what he went through when it comes to anxiety and the complex emotions that come along with that, the process of coming out of that, and again, everything that goes along with that kind of challenge that you face in your life. So take a listen.
Cool. Ready to roll?
Ready to roll.
Ready.
And we are recording.
My name is Andrew Martinez, and I've struggled with anxiety in the past. It wasn't really the divorce that made me feel low. It was the fact that I disappointed everyone around me. When I, let them down in that sense, it's like, you're just thinking, what are they thinking all the time? You feel that when you reach out to people, they're not telling you honestly if you're doing things right or wrong, or if you're making the best move. The bad days are pretty lonely. Wanted me to get candid, it's really awkward because you're still living there with your spouse until things are get hashed out. A lot of it was solemn, sitting on the couch and crying here and there, feeling guilty, pleasing myself by doing something as small as, watching TV. Because I was like, why am I going to be watching TV or playing a game, which I consider it's pleasurable, right? I was like, why am I rewarding myself when I've done something that put people, in a situation where they feel bad? The people I feel comfortable reaching for support were people who were not immediately in my life at that moment. Which stems back to some of my gamer friends. Can I name drop people? Sure. So like one of my closest friends, his name is Steven, like felt very, very comfortable just letting it out to him. He was always there for me. Never judgmental. And yeah, to now, we're best friends. So over time, I'm 36 now, still coming into myself, I've learned is like, just really be yourself. You can't please everybody. Just as long as you're a good person, that's all that matters. And now I'm looking for people with good hearts, and in the gaming community, not just trying to promote that, but it's where I find the best hearted people.
So that was Andrew. I have the honor of having him and his friend Steven on the back end of this. And I will say that I saw Steven also wipe a tear from his eye when he heard what Drew had to say about him. Andrew was such an easy guy to talk to. I'm super happy to say that we have both Drew and Steven on to talk a little bit more and give you a little more to listen in on. Before we bring them on, as always, if you want to ask a question, share your own experience, or offer your own support, you know exactly where to find us. So with that being said, welcome Drew and Steven onto our Vent Overheard.
Hi. How's it going?
How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing great. The acting right now, that last interviewer got me emotional. I never thought I could cry from seeing myself cry. I was like, wow. It's either I'm very egotistic or,
I mean, to put it in perspective, like it's kind of reflecting on how long we've known each other and like how close we are as, friends.
Yeah, that's very true.
And how long have y'all known each other?
17 years. Since my second year of college. I think it was Drew's first.
Yeah, my first. And it was met him at the games room at Cal State Northridge. Initially, did not like him one bit because he was so good at Tekken. I was like, he just thinks he's the best.
It's also more like because I'm really, really shy, kind of, and it takes me like a little bit to warm up to people. And when I'm there, I'm just there to play. And then like Drew just kept putting quarters up and losing. Most importantly, losing, and like he just kept challenging me, and like the more he just kept playing, it's like, okay, let me just talk to him, and we just kind of hit it off.
That's crazy. Were you surprised, Steven, that Drew teared up a little bit when, of all things, mentioning you?
I mean, he told me about this little interview, but it's really a lot different seeing it actually happen. Because I don't know. I've seen him be emotional, but it's just it affects me too when I get to see that he's very, very genuine. And it, like I have my own like insecurities, but just to know that like that kind like Drew feels like close to me also, it's kind of nice to see that validation.
Yeah, friend love is a cool one. You forget how strong it is when you're going through all these other things in your life, obviously like big things with relationships included. Yeah. But when you step back and you realize how much you freaking love your friends, the family that you choose, it really can hit you.
Yeah, you're right. Like to me, friend love, I'm always telling all my friends, especially Steven, I was like, family is important. I'll say yes, especially if you have a good family, right? Someone, takes care of you, gives you love and such. But a lot of ideology between family, at least in my culture, it's, family comes first because that's blood, right? But for me, it's like friends, I don't know, it just, to me, they have more of a value to me because you're not forced to be my friend. You've chosen to be my friend. So it's something about me that I'm doing right. I guess it's that validation as well, where I'm so insecure. Just like, thank you for being my friend. It's like, I don't want to ever, betray that friendship because you chose it. It's like, It's not like we're stuck together. So
it's interesting because I've come to this idea recently of the family that you choose, because like we don't get a choice in our blood family, but like, because Drew's there for me for in my hardest times too. That's something that family is more or less obligated to do, but Drew doesn't have to do that, but he's there for me.
This question I think could be for both of you, both Drew and Steven. When you show up for the other person and they say, wow, thank you so much for being there for me, you've gone above and beyond, do you feel like that's what you're doing? Do you feel like you're being a hero, or does it just feel like being a friend?
I feel I'm not doing enough. Like I get there, like I'm being a friend. I feel like I have to do something, but I don't know what to do at that moment. So it's that constant thing, like what else? But I'm not sure if Steven, I would think that we feel similar. It's like just the presence there. It's comforting, right?
Yeah, I mean, I recently just lost my dad, and like, thank you. It's like, it was just nice to know that I don't have to be alone. Like, obviously I had my wife, and it was really, really important that my new immediate family, like, we weren't suffering through alone. And like knowing Drew was there, even though like he hasn't experienced this kind of loss, just it was nice to know that like I was big enough of a part of his life for him to care, to be there.
Yeah. I have a friend who, it's actually the friend of mine who, when Drew brought you up, it made me cry thinking about her. Her name's Lacey, and she just lost her mom. And something that she brought up when her and I would have similarly candid conversations about how can you be there for someone enough when it's something like losing a parent or going through a heartbreaking divorce. How is it ever enough? And something that she said was, while I can't and while other friends can't experience the loss that she's suffering, the loss that you're suffering, to still be there as much as you can, to be present and to be like the face that she can look to. It just feels like regardless of where she is in a dark time, she can reach out a hand because you've at the very least like been by her side, maybe in another room, but like you've kept yourself close. And that, like you said, Drew, like that's the foundational thing that you can do as someone who loves someone else.
And at the very least, like, you're just not alone. And that's the very least that anyone can ask for.
Yeah. I think it helps too to have the conversation that it doesn't feel like enough on both sides. For the friend who's supporting, the friend says, I want to do as much as I can, but how can it be enough? And for the person who's suffering, the answer is it's never enough. A loss is a loss. It's never going to feel like enough, but it doesn't mean you should stop trying. Yeah. You should always strive to be there. And that's hard.
I'm thinking like when you know someone so long, you kind of start to learn what are other ways of consoling or dealing with things. So like Steven knows with me, I'll throw a lot of jokes in front of things in case it, it gets awkward. Like in my divorce, how often do you hear? Like, okay, if your daughter ever needs help on, what not to do, make sure you ask me. So it's like I just play with it, but it's just nice having somebody that whatever it is that you need, whether it be just chilling there on the couch with you, or come over play some games, or just sit in the car with me and just watch me cry, but you can cry yourself, only I can cry.
Yeah. So kind of being willing to just ask, how do you need me?
Yeah.
Can be something to say when you don't know what else to say.
Actually, yeah, I never even thought about asking how. I just kind of just figured it, but like other events, other people outside of me and Steven, friendship and family, I was like, yeah, I've always been awkward, when like really hard things happen to them. I was like, I don't know, again, I don't know what to do, but yeah, maybe I should just be asking like, how can I help you, like.
Yeah, I think people end up being much more receptive. Maybe they're thrown off. Maybe it makes people stop and say, wait, what do I need? Maybe they do just need to cry, but maybe they haven't even thought about what they need at that time. I guess
that makes sense, because some people even just forget to vocalize they need something, because just going through what I went through this past year, like I don't even know what to ask for. Like, how do I know? Like, I would never wish this kind of suffering on somebody, so like I don't even know the right questions to ask.
Yeah, and we're not people that usually like to bother other people. Not that they'll see it as a bother, but we just don't like being any kind of burden on anyone. I'm not sure if I'm speaking for myself there, Steven, but it's like,
That's
usually,
definitely me.
Yeah,
I really, really hate like becoming like someone else's burden.
Yeah, even though they might not see it as a burden, but just like the way, I guess it falls back to insecurities, where we're just thinking like, I don't want to waste your time. I don't, want to waste your resources. Like I could do it on my own. It's really about just always helping out yourself. But no, so that's when someone comes help you and helps you out without you asking them, because we're not gonna ask. Like I'm not gonna say I need help, but someone just shows up. It's like that means a lot more to me,
Yeah. It's something too that it feels like, particularly with mourning or grieving of any kind, whether it's a loved one or a relationship. And again, not to compare the two, but both are a mourning process in a way. And it's hard when you have to deal with that. And this is me thinking about my friend Lacey as well, Steven, who lost her mom. You want to be able to take that time, but the world doesn't stop moving. Yeah. Everything else is still going, and you're like, wait, I'm still in this. I'm still struggling. Like, when is it going to stop? And that's got to be hard. Are you someone who dives in to emotions like that? Or are you kind of like taking it slow? How are you doing right now?
I'm pretty pensive about things. I don't necessarily vocalize what I'm feeling. And it's something I definitely need to work on. I'm seeing a therapist for it. Because it's the first time I've ever had to deal with grief this significant. And I sought out a therapist just because I need help. I don't know how to navigate something like that, and professional help is not something that you need to be afraid of. It's their job.
But I would say there's a lot of stigmatism behind it sometimes. Maybe it's just me, but like when you seek professional help, people usually judge it as, oh, you really got problems, like you're crazy. I was like, I can't even have a conversation with you. It's like, so that's something I still have to take that step on for some personal things, where like I really need to start seeking that. But it's like kind of like going to a doctor for me, just like
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know it's also cultural. Like I think in that sense we have the same cultural stigma with mental health and seeking help for mental health.
Oh yeah.
It makes things really, really difficult, especially just sharing that with people who don't have the same view of mental health as we do.
Yeah.
Probably making that jump, Stephen, and going to seek help. And Drew, I totally hear you. I just started therapy like within this last year, and come from Southern Louisiana, family that just kind of bottles things up. So like it was hard to like tell. I mean, I'm 26 years old, but to tell my parents like I'm going to see a therapist, and then be like, what do you mean? What's wrong? And I'm like, what do you mean what's wrong? All kinds of things. Like it can be hard.
Yeah, and I think culture does have a big impact on that. Like, not to just throw stereotypes about like how I'm raised, but these are true stories, so I guess they're not stereotypes. It's like my own parents, when they would see like some other children of a different family, going through something like acting up, either rebellious, or they're always sad or always quiet. In Spanish, it sounds more harsh in Spanish, but when you translate it into English, it's like, oh, that kid just needs one more whooping just to get him fixed. It's like that was the solution all the time. It's like, oh, he's not dumb, he's not slow, he just needs a good whooping. It's like, I never got whooped. Okay, so I should once, but
No, that definitely guides. That sticks with you. It sticks with you in terms of how you learn to cope with your mental health. And it's cool, honestly, to just be able to say that regardless of age, like people find their own way to begin prioritizing and acknowledging their mental health. And Drew, I'm kind of surprised that you say you haven't like necessarily like sought out other resources and stuff, because some of the vocabulary, for lack of a better term, that you were using was resonating with me because it was things that I had heard in therapy. One of the things you brought up was the guilt. And like playing back your interview, I couldn't tell if I like kind of heard you start to choke up about it. And I know it's something that like in my past relationship, when it was over, it was something that I felt a lot of. It was that feeling that you couldn't let yourself feel happy. You didn't deserve it. It didn't feel good because you felt like you had hurt someone. You had caused someone that you loved pain. And that guilt was what kept coming back to you. And it seems like for you to even acknowledge that is a pretty big step, to acknowledge that guilt was something that was pressing on you in your life. Could you tell me a little bit about that emotion that came from your divorce, and also how you grappled with it?
So yeah, as I mentioned, there's always no desire to please people. That's where the guilt comes from. It's immediate, based on the person that you've hurt the most, but then it trickled down to a lot of other people in my circle, which the people after my spouse at that time, the people I wanted to please the most and still kind of fall into it, is my own parents. So just a lot of the times, like when you do something bad, it's like when I see someone else do something bad, I can't say exactly what act, but let's say they I don't know, they hurt you, they punch you, whatever it is, and immediately after, they're not even thinking about it. They don't feel resent or anything of that sort. Like, you don't see it. Maybe they feel it internally, But since I'm so cued on actual physical cues, it just seems to me like they don't care, So on my end of things, it's like, okay, I hurt somebody. I feel bad about this. What do? It's like, do I start looking at my phone? Do I start going online? Do I start playing games or watch TV? It's like, no, that's you don't feel bad if you could just break your guilt and watch TV. It's like, over time it fades away. I'll say not completely. You still feel bad because you made a bad decision, I'll say, but at least you can learn from it. And then, the whole thing where I've come to realize like guilt was a big thing. Maybe with help, I would have been able to find that out a lot sooner. It took a long, long, long time for me to be like, what is this shit that's making me feel bad? I was like, oh yeah. And why is it that I feel bad? So, I still fight with it now, but really if I were to seek help, I'm pretty sure I would be in a better position right now.
Yeah. But too true what you said, like you found your way there. You can find your way through things. It takes so much of your time and your energy, and but it doesn't make it any less important, and any less of an epiphany when you do find that.
Yeah, and I'd say some people might not be able. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody at all, but just maybe my struggle wasn't as bad as something else that somebody else is going through, because they have other conditioning from their lives that maybe doesn't allow them to think that way, where they'll break through it. So I don't. My advice is just if someone just isn't feeling right, just go seek help. It's like, let's say I have, again, going back to physical doctor things, like I messed up my shoulder a long time ago. I was being super dumb on a bus. We had a wine tasting tour and I did a little backflip thing there. I heard my shoulder pop once or twice. I was like, okay, whatever. The next day, I was like, feels all sore, and the next week, the next month, next 3 months, something was bad. I was like, I'm not going to the doctor. It's fine now, no pain at all. But really, I should have gone there before, because it could have been solved, as a much faster, and I can make sure it's not going to lead to more things in the future. So maybe this isn't the best thing I'm doing now, just figuring out by myself. It could cause problems in the future, So
I think you should recognize also that, like, in the time that I've known you, I've seen you evolve as a person. The person you are now to when like before you got divorced is different. Like, I've seen you like become even better of a person through each stage that I've known you. So it's not always going to be an easy fix. It's not going to change overnight. But I know you're a good person. That's why you're my friend. So like you're going in that direction.
And it's not because I'm dressing better or anything. It's like you actually like me as a person.
I mean, dressing better is a weird metric, because I still dress better than you.
No, thank you. And that's like, how people say, Stephen, like when people change over time, like you kind of grow out of them and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, just being adaptable to things coming your way, as long as the person always has a good heart, no matter how, no matter not what the changes, but as the changes lead to them, just always being more considerate, taking account everyone else's feelings versus themselves, like not to sacrifice themselves, but just saying, always trying to be considerate, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that's how like we lean in, because like when it comes to me and you, like we're never trying to inconvenience the other one in any way,
Yeah, because I know we both have we're all both busy in our own lives, and like it's kind of crazy that we're still able to spend as much time hanging out as we do.
I spend more time with you than I spend with my own family.
Yeah.
Would you say, I mean, Stephen, obviously, like sharing kind words about who you are as a person, do you feel like you were hard on yourself and critical of yourself during that period of time in which you were kind of coping with emotional repercussions of a divorce?
You mean on Drew's end? Like the thing that was just really shocking to me was that they had problems because it was very, very private, and I totally understand. And like we had built a relationship with his ex also, and like now like she's barely even a part of our lives. And I just kind of sometimes I wish I'd known a little bit more, because when we found out, it was a huge surprise, because we didn't know anything was wrong.
I think I was driving back from work, and I just kind of told you, like as I'm like on the phone casually, because of course I didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Just telling you, hey, it's me and my wife are currently separated. You're like, oh, but you it's just takes you like crazy out the blue. And I think a lot of the reason why I held back a lot, Stephen, it falls back to the whole thing of trying to maintain a certain facade for other people, not because necessarily being fake, but I was like, well, you see me as a good couple, and so do my other friends and everything. Like, I have to pretend that this is working, because you guys invested so much time. You went to my wedding. Been there present. I was like, I don't want to ruin that. I was like, oh, we had already planned the dinner a month from now. I was like, as a double date. It's like, I don't want to ruin that. So just kind of faking out myself, not making myself happy just for the sake of it's not that it makes you happy me being with somebody, but it makes you not sad,
Yeah. And like the thing is like the stuff that I'm learning about right now in my own therapy sessions is this idea of like shame. And like it's okay to have that a little bit of shame because it helps you grow as a person. And you just kind of identify like what causes it and just and move past it.
Such an easy term. I never thought about it. Maybe I'm confusing a lot with guilt and shame as well. Maybe shame causes my guilt. Not sure, but I'll have to talk to you about shame.
I've got one final question, or I should say two questions, one from me and one from a viewer. Drew, I know you mentioned that you currently have a girlfriend. You said she's in the other room, so shout out to her. But I guess my curiosity is, when it comes to dealing with this kind of form of emotional struggle from your past, moving into a new relationship, how did you and your new partner handle that? What was key for you guys to be able to talk about it and move forward in a healthy way for the you of today?
So initially, I'd say it was a lot of not really talking about it. It was very, minor. Just we kind of knocked out the big things out the way. It was like, hey, this is my religious background, and based on my separation, divorce, everything. Well, at that time, just separation. It was just mostly we're like, okay, let's I'm happy with you. Let's be honest with each other and such. Really, it should have been hashed out a lot more because even though we're happy now, we're at a great place. A lot of those scars are still in there. So especially with this past year being locked in a lot, some things came out just like feelings that I've held on for so long, but when you're in front of the person 24/7 for a whole year, things came out, and it all came out from the other end as well, and now it's still work in progress every single day, but it's just about really being honest with yourself, to be honest with the other person about how you feel. It's like, look, I'm not liking this, or I do like this, or please, I need more of this. But yeah, it's definitely a work in progress. That's why I love her, because she's very tolerant. Just the whole insecurity thing back. It's like, I feel like somebody should tolerate me. Maybe one day I'll be so secure and be like, yeah, it's like, it's not that they have to tolerate me, they just have to like me, but it's really that. And I guess it's just opening up a lot, open up on everything, and try, like, the big mistakes I've made in the past, try not committing those again, where I just like completely didn't do things just because of the fact that I'm afraid of her judgment. It's better just asking.
That's awesome. It seems like what I'm hearing is acknowledgement of past and present things, and communication are super important. That's awesome to hear, and that's great advice. So final question from a viewer. How often do you guys play games together, and what is your favorite game to play?
We have a weekly thing going. We kind of treat it as like a guys night. We'll get together with a couple of friends and we'll play Soul Calibur 6, because that's where we get the most competitive, and because neither of us really likes to lose.
but we
And-
don't get mad.
Yeah, and it's like the gaming part is like important, but really the most important thing is the camaraderie that we have, and just an opportunity to hang out. Like we've got our little weekly ritual going.
Yeah, and we started it like it was just on a whim where like that game came out because we used to play Soul Calibur 2 back at CSUN, and that was a great game, but that was at the arcade. Like we miss. I'm not sure if I know you miss Steven. It's like the whole being side by side with each other.
Yeah.
It's something like something about the energy you feel of the person. I was like you read social cues, you read physical cues, and like when you're trash talking at each other, like it just comes off different.
Yeah, and especially when I know I've made you spend like dollars of quarters.
20 was the most you made me spend one day. It wasn't the whole rent. It wasn't my car note. It was $20. But yeah, no, in one day, that's pretty good. No, but just off of that whim, like we when Soul Calibur 6 came out, we started to we got a group of guys together from CSUN, and those guys
we reconnected with like really old friends that like we hadn't seen in almost a decade. So it was just nice to see old friends again too. So like we kept that going. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Y'all's friendship it really is inspiring. Incredible to hear how you guys have both been through so much and stuck by each other's sides. And I really appreciate you two opening up and being vulnerable with us for a little while and being vulnerable with everyone watching. We really do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Sophie.
And to everyone watching, again, hope you enjoyed listening in tonight. If you're going through anything, hope Andrew and Steven's words resonated with you in some way. If you want to explore additional resources that could help you with something you might be going through, you can log on to the Richie Knows app, check out the Vent tab, and go through some really great resources provided to us by NAMI Westside Los Angeles. And I suppose the last thing that I really want to say tonight, after listening to Andrew and Steven, is that we are all on our own unique mental health journey. And a lot of times it really sucks. It doesn't matter how long you've been dealing with it. Doesn't matter what it is. At any given moment, it can pop back into your head, take over your life, and it sucks. But everyone has been through something. Everyone is going through something. And the bottom line is we've all felt or thought things that feel out of our control, which means that we can all do this. We can all get through this. And if you ever start to feel otherwise, take a deep breath, go for a walk, find out how to schedule a therapy session, or just come vent with us. Because regardless of where you're coming from, you are never alone. Good night, everybody.
Bye.